Wako, the fearsome Japanese pirates. The Wako were the terror of the Japanese and Chinese seas in the 13th to 16th centuries. Originally, they were formed by ronin and smugglers. Stories of famous pirates have long fascinated people, and Japanese pirates are no exception. Even though they are not so popular, the Wako have a fascinating history. The origin of the term Wako is varied, having more than one meaning. One of them is bandits from the country of Wa, referring to Japan, since Wa, Japan, Japanese, is the oldest registered name of Japan. Originally, the Wako were ronin, samurai without a lord, Japanese traders, and/or smugglers. However, over the centuries, the practice of piracy spread to other countries in Asia, mainly the Chinese, which became part of piracy in the Asian seas. The Wako's field of action was not restricted to the sea, where they demanded that a fee be paid for ships to transit their territories, otherwise their crew would be attacked, but they also participated in several attacks on coastal cities in Korea and India. China. The Wako would leave their ships, the junks, a little way from shore and approach the town by canoe until they launched the attack, usually taking whatever they could and killing or enslaving the citizens. The Wako were an international problem for the three Asian countries, Japan, China and Korea, starting as early as 1223, when a Japanese looting expedition traveled to Korea, probably due to famine and social unrest due to the beginning of the shogunate, when most samurai became ronin. Some Asian scholars divide piracy incursions into Asia into early Wako, 13th century, and late Wako, 16th century. Tsushima Island, in southwest Japan, close to South Korea, is very mountainous, forming the perfect setting to serve as a fortress and main headquarters for samurai pirates, who traded goods with the local inhabitants. The Wako generally fought without armor, barefoot and half-naked, some on horseback and with different types of weapons. They took to the seas in small bands to plunder and fled before the local authorities had time to verify the occurrences. In some cases, the looting of larger cities included groups of over 3,000 men. Although Japanese pirates no longer sail the seas, they have festive dates, being remembered every year in the Shimanami Islands with three festivals: the Island Festival, the Water Festival and the Fire Festival, the latter with dances and fireworks. Artifice. For those visiting the island of Satuchi, it is possible to visit the Murakami Kaizoku Museum, where all the history of pirates. It was golden. With China's political difficulties and the decline of central authority in the late 13th century, the number of Japanese pirates grew along the Chinese coast, traveling aboard ships that could carry around 300 men. Quickly, their recklessness increased, especially as it was difficult for the Chinese to effectively monitor their immense coastline. In fact, Wako attacks penetrated deep into the countryside and devastated entire villages. Its action reached its climax around 1550, due to the intensifying Japanese civil war between the daimyo, see Sengoku period. At that time, powerful Wako fleets were formed, capable of regularly plundering cities such as Ningpo and Shanghai, and of ascending the course of the Yangtze. But Wako also served political and commercial interests. Indeed, at that time, it was not uncommon for them to be called upon to resolve disputes between daimyos, above all, when the Chinese ended the commercial privileges of the Japanese. The latter, to guarantee their profits, did not hesitate to resort to force to help themselves. If originally the Wako were all Japanese, more and more Wako crew members were Chinese and Korean. The island of Taiwan, Formosa, was an excellent base of operations for pirates until the 17th century. The decline. In 1559, constant nuisance and depredation by the Wako led China to send the Chinese general Qi Shiguang, who launched a major campaign to eradicate this scourge. But the Wako were not. As with all solutions to complex problems, the solution was not simple. There were several actions and procedures taken. Among them, the Chinese cartographer Zheng Ruozheng drew a detailed map of the coast of China. The use of testimony from Wako victims, Wako prisoners, and merchants participating in Nagasaki to draw maps of the coast of Japan. He completed this collection in 1561, under the name Ribbon 2 Zhuan/Ribbon 2 Zhuan, compilation of maps of Japan. Toyotomi Hideyoshi also played an important role in Wako's decline with important measures. The arrival of the Portuguese to Macau also played a role against the Wako. In fact, the Portuguese and Chinese agreed to eradicate them. A document from 1564 telling of a joint Chinese-Portuguese attack on the Pearl River Delta has been found. The presence of Portuguese ships also reduced the rigidity of trade regulations. But for Lusitanian luck and for Chinese bad luck, the arrival of Portugal in the east was a preponderant factor in triggering the decline of Wako. Documents found show that the emperor was aware of the fact that the Portuguese traded with the Wako, which does not make much sense. Or do? Because perhaps the Chinese Empire decided to stop fighting Portugal and discovered that Portuguese trade was like a plague, even though it had been banned since the Tama War of 1520 to 1522, in which China won, but did not take it, because trade continued at all steam, now as contraband. Perhaps as an honorable choice, accepting trade with Portugal, charging official fees and sealing this help as an agreement in eliminating Japanese piracy. And so Portugal enters the scene to eliminate the dreaded Wako. And how did you do it? This deserves another video, and we warn you that there is a surprise to come. The discovery of Portugal. The untold stories of our ancestors.